to the Cooler Women's Wellness Tribe, the podcast. Get comfortable, get your walking shoes on, and let's get going. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cooler Women's Wellness Podcast. I have another guest with me today, so I'll give you a little bit of an introduction. I'm not going to give too much away, but I think this episode is going to be really helpful for those of you that I know that are listening, and well, all the mummies out there that are listening. So, which I think is most women that are listening. I know a few of you have messaged. So yeah, this is going to be a really good one for you lovely ladies out there. So today I have Lauren with me. Lauren is a personal trainer and a movement coach. She's got over 8 years experience. She's worked in private gyms in London, and she moved over to Dubai over a year ago. So she's here with me in Dubai. So Lauren calls herself a lifestyle PT. So I'm not going to go too much into that. So I'll ask her to explain. But she focuses more on how to fit movement and healthier habits into your life. So again, that's one area that I think is really going to help a lot of you guys. Lauren's also a mum. So she understands, she empathizes with mums, and she just confessed to me before we started recording, she is a PT without a gym membership. She only goes to the gym once a month, and she swears by 4 minutes a day to keep her six-pack, which I also want to know as well. So welcome, Lauren. How are you?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. Very good, thank you. Very hot, actually. It's getting a bit humid in Dubai.
Yeah.
But all good other than that.
Yeah, it's the temperature's definitely... last week I was saying how I was like, oh my God, it's still spring and it's still nice and cool. And then this week it's like, everything's starting to stick and
sticky.
Less and less clothes coming on. So we'll jump straight in. So first of all, tell me a little bit about your background. So before PT, how you became a PT, whatever you'd like to share.
So I have always been in and around health and wellness. So my first job was actually in a gym in Kent in the UK when I was 16. And I've always loved it. I've always been in and around sport, but didn't really realise it was a career choice that I could have taken. I didn't really understand how I could make it work for me and make it pay the bills. So I went into kind of sales and marketing. I had numerous roles. I used to work for Motorola when they were acquired by Google, and I worked for Vitality Health and Life Insurance in sponsorship for a number of years in London. But I felt like a little bit of a hypocrite. So I was in marketing for a massive corporate, telling people to be the fittest, healthiest versions of themselves, and I was sat at the desk all day from 8 in the morning till sometimes 8 p.m. at night, and really not looking after my own health and wellness. So I just thought, you know what, I can't sit at a desk all day. I need to move more. I need to make some changes. I've got to change something. So I took 4 months off. I went traveling to figure out what I wanted to do, and I came home, so back to London, and did my PT course with no intention of really being a personal trainer. I just wanted to learn more about my body. I'd always been I wanted to be a physio when I was young, but my mum said I wasn't clever enough, unfortunately. So I didn't do my science A-levels. But maybe if I had done, it would have been a different path. But I've always been interested in the body, movement mechanics, and I really enjoyed my PT qualification. And I got another job working in sponsorship and marketing, just doing PT on the side. And then I thought, you know what, actually, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to go guns blazing, personal trainer. I've never actually worked in a gym since being a personal trainer, not a commercial gym. So I was always a private personal trainer working in private gyms in London. And my business grew very organically. COVID hit, I took a lot of my clients online. I still do a lot of Zoom PT at the moment as well. And yeah, and then I just, I was working from the comfort of my own laptop at home pretty much through COVID, and thought, I'm actually a bit over London. I want to try something new. Got pregnant during lockdown, had a child, and when he was a few months old, we just thought, actually, let's try something else, and let's move to Dubai and see what expat life is like for a little while. So here I am.
I love that. I feel like it's a little bit of a, when you're least expecting it, like a calling type, you just, you're doing the jobs or you work because you feel like that's what you have to do. But then there's that niggle of there's something else, and, it just comes out of the blue, doesn't it? It was the same for me with my yoga teacher training. Like, if you'd have spoken to me 4 years ago, I definitely would have said, I don't want to be a school teacher forever. But I was always like, sat there like, what can I do? Can I open a cafe? I think I wanted to open a tattoo studio at one point with a cafe and a vintage shop on the side. So I think you go through all of these things. So tell me about, obviously, you can't go into detail about individual clients, but what kind of people do you work with, and what do they work on? Is there a mixture or?
Yeah, so there's very much a mix of clients I have at the moment. Predominantly mums, to be honest with you. I attracted a lot of mum clients when I got to Dubai, because obviously I was going to see mum and baby groups to try and meet some new people. And no one could quite believe I actually had a child, because I did have a six-pack. But he was there, living proof that I was still in good shape and I was a mum. And when I tell people I don't get time to go to the gym, which I know is an excuse, but they honestly don't, they don't believe me. And I'm like, no, honestly, I exercise at home. I've got a TRX, I've got a couple of bands, that's it. And I do my 4 minutes a day. But yeah, so predominantly mums. I help a lot of people with rehabilitation from injury, and a lot of people with posture. So obviously a lot of people are kind of sat down all day at desks, so they have a lot of posture issues. So it's a bit of a mix really, but I would say predominantly mums over here.
Yeah. And then tell me a little bit about, so everyone knows, so you call yourself a lifestyle PT, so you're lifestyle PT. How does that differentiate from PT?
So when I first got to Dubai, I did a lot of research about PTs, because I wanted to know how much I could charge, if they come to you, if you go to them, what the gyms were like. So I employed a lot of PTs myself and a few online coaches. And what I found was personal trainers were coming to my house. I didn't tell them I was a personal trainer, but they were coming to my house. In Dubai, we have flats, and a lot of the flats have gyms in them. But I'd meet them at the gym, and they would make me feel awful, like really terrible about myself. I mean, I wasn't out of shape. I was still in really good shape, still carrying a little bit of baby weight. I told them all I'd just had a C-section, so they obviously should have not wanted to push me too hard. But they were saying things like, oh yeah, you're overweight. You need to lose about 6 kg. You need to train with me 4 times a week, and that's going to be, and then they'd give me the price. I'd be like, whoa. I was like, but you're not listening. I've just told you I'm a mum. I don't have time to see you 4 times a week. I don't have a nanny. My kid's not in nursery. Like, you're not listening to my needs. And so I really found that there was a gap in the market for people that listen. And I also had the same with online coaching. So I follow a lot of kind of big fitness influencers who, I really enjoy their content, and I'll try it out in the gym every now and again. But I signed up to a few programs. I spent a lot of money on these people. And they just added me to True Coach and these generic platforms, and it wasn't personalized at all. I would say things like, okay, well, my gym doesn't have this, and they would still put that in my program every week, that bit of machinery. So I was like, you're not listening. It's just you've just clicked a few buttons, you've put me into a generic category. You're not, our one-to-one online check-ins weren't really very personalized at all. And I just thought, you know what? I got into PT to help people, and I feel like they're not really helping me. They're actually making me feel really bad about my body and about the fact that I don't have time to go to the gym, because all these true coach things are like, okay, you've got to tick the box, say you've done it. And if you haven't done it, I was at 30% compliance. Okay, well, you're not hitting your goals because you're only at 30% compliance. So not my fault. And I was like, do you know what? That's not what personal training should be about. So I wanted to incorporate more lifestyle into it.
Yeah, that's real. And I've had, I think, a couple of PTs. One was my friend, so that one was okay, and she got it. But I know when I actually had a PT with my boyfriend at some point. I don't know why we went to a PT together. But he was very the same, exactly what you've just described. And I came to dread going, and like he was giving me these big heavy weights to lift, and I was like, I can't do that. And I ended up hurting my back, and I was like, I'm not coming because I want to lift heavy. And he'd shout at me and be like, come on, be strong, girl. And I was like, I'm not coming because I want to be strong. Like, I just want to be fit and healthy and be able to look. I was just looking after myself. But yeah, I totally get. What would you say to people who have a similar story to me that might reach out to you and have that little bit of a fear that they've had bad experiences in the past with these PTs that are just all about lift heavy, sweat, put it on Instagram, that kind of thing? What advice would you give? Because I bet there's some people listening that have had the same.
I would say, so definitely make sure you have a consultation with them. So whether it's online or in person, they should offer you a free consultation to see if you like their style and they like yours. I personally don't take on every client. Someone might have a discovery call with me and I might not think they're right for me, so I might refer them on. But I think you'll find a lot of PTs, they'll take on everybody.
Yeah.
And they know deep down they're probably not the right coach for you. And I would also say that a lot of women tend to want to train with men. And men don't really understand your cycle, your potential mood swings. Okay, yeah, it might be nice to train with a hot guy in the gym if he keeps you motivated. And if that's all you need, then that's fine. But I would also say, like, if you're a woman, train with a woman, like, because she does get it, she does understand. Doesn't mean she's going to go easy on you, because we all know that you do have to work quite hard to get these results. But it is more about the consistency, how well you gel with someone. And I also have, so 90% of my clients, unless they're recovering from injury or they have specific issues that they're working on, I will only see a client for 3 months. Whereas most PTs want to take you on their books. They don't want to struggle to find another client, so they'll keep you on forevermore. Yeah. I work with people for 3 months and I try and install in them healthier, smaller habits and lifestyle changes. And I give them enough knowledge to design their own little program. And then after 3 months, I just let them go it alone, because I don't want to sit there and take your money forevermore, because that's not sustainable. So I want to try and get you to implement things into your life that will keep you consistent. So I would say have a chat with any PT, see how long they expect it will take you to get results. If they want to keep you on their books for 2, 3, 4 years, financially, can you afford that? And is that what you want? Because if you just need someone to stand there and count to 10 and you just need accountability, then that might be all you need. But then pay, 100 dirham for a trainer rather than 500 dirham for a trainer, because there's a huge benchmark out there. But to be honest with you, a lot of it is just having that initial chat, following them on Instagram, seeing if you really do like their style, and just not trying to fall into their mold. Get them to understand what you want, not, a lot of my clients have Excel sheets, some of them have Post-it notes, some of them might just have a Canva thing that I designed for them on their phone. Everyone is different and they're going to work differently with you. But if they're going to put you on a generic platform that suits them because it's easy for them, then is that what you want?
That's, and I like the 3 month thing as well, because in the back of your mind, you know that you're not just going to keep them there forever. And like, how sustainable is it? Like, you're going to just have a PT for the rest of your life, because as soon as you stop that, if you haven't got that knowledge, then when I do coaching, like, it's building you up to go off on your own. Like, you can't have a coach forever, because you know what, 20-30 years you're still working with the same coach because you don't know what to do, or you're too scared to do it on your own, and you need you know, it's having that, and that's the whole point of it. So it's I totally get that. I had a question in my head and I've just lost it. Okay, it was mums. So tell me a little bit about, so I know I'm thinking about my best friend here, so she will be listening because she has to. Her baby's 6 months now, and how do you motivate and how do you support mums, not necessarily just new mums, just mums in general that don't have, I know we mentioned nannies at the start, so people in the UK are probably thinking nannies, but it's a thing here. If I think I've mentioned my nan before, and they've like, no, I mean my nan, my grandmother, not my nanny. I don't have a nanny. I'm an adult. But so it is a thing. So people at home, when nannies aren't like standard, or even, well, people in Dubai don't, not everyone has a nanny, but mums that are doing the mum job, it is a job. So imagining squeezing in exercise. So how do you go about that?
So the barriers to exercise for anyone, whether you're a mum or not, is normally either I don't have the money to join a gym, I don't have the time, that I'm not motivated enough, and I just want to take all of the barriers away. So I really just try and stack exercise onto a habit. And I try and get my clients to do a 4-minute a day habit. I'll come back to the 4 minutes in a minute. But basically, if you, like, everyone says I haven't got time. I get it. I honestly do. But you have 4 minutes. And if you don't have 4 minutes, and if you can't create 4 minutes, then you are doing life wrong. Like, your child, the majority of the time, has another parent. So if you just need 5 minutes to yourself at 8 o'clock every morning, you need to say to your other half, I need 5 minutes to myself, baby's yours. Or I just need 5 minutes to myself, and just lock the door if you don't have the baby to contend with. If you can't find 5 minutes, then you do really need to sit down, get yourself a coach, and maybe really just look at your lifestyle and your environment. But I think hopefully everybody listening to this can at least find 5 minutes a day. So it really is about breaking it down into chunks. But also, equally, if you're not motivated and you're not going to get up and do your 4 or 5 minutes a day, then block out an hour in your diary where that's time for you, and treat it like you would a work meeting. Doesn't matter whether you go to the gym, it doesn't matter if you go for a walk to the park and do some step ups on a bench, but like, really try and safeguard that time for you, because a lot of the time it's about your mind as well. If you're spending all day every day with a child, or at work, or always on someone else, and not looking after yourself, then you're not going to be the best version of yourself. So I would say, especially to mums, safeguard some time. Try and make it consistent so that everybody knows, I'm not contactable between this time, or I have to get up and I have to do my 5 minutes, and it just make it a non-negotiable. But I also, honestly, I do get it when people say they don't get time to go to the gym. I get it. I have a gym in my apartment. I've been once in a year. They're not fun places to be if you don't know what you're doing. And some people go to the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week, don't know what they're doing, and aren't going to get results. So I get it. You're not going to see the results. You're not going to be motivated to go back. But you really do just need to find something that works for you, make it fun, and make it consistent.
And how do you, so you don't, do you get your son involved into your workouts? So what tips would you give mums who are at home and they have got the baby in the day because dad's at work? What things can they do at home that involve the baby if the baby's awake, or if they're not a baby and they're toddling around? So what things do you do?
So it is much, much easier before they're about 1 and before they're pulling themselves up on stuff and injuring themselves on anything that you put in their way. Before they're 1, I mean, they can kind of just go in their, in their crib. They kind of sleep a lot. So, you can always find time. You can always take them with you. I used to go to the park with my little one and just pop him on a blanket and just do a couple of minutes just exercising and find a bench and do some step ups and do some planks. And as he got a bit older, he needed a bit more stimulation, so I'd actually get up, pop him in front of the TV for 15 minutes whilst I did my little workout, my mobility routine, a bit of stretch. Like, I know people judge people for putting kids in front of the TV, but they're going to grow up with screens. It's 15 minutes a day whilst you get in your best personal headspace. And you organise your day. You're going to be a better person because of it. And when you're a better person, you can look after your child. But equally, it's really important for your child to see you being active and being healthy. Like, if you need a daily reminder to eat healthy or to exercise, they are it. Like, yeah. Do you want your kid to grow up a fat slob that sits around eating cake watching the TV? No. Okay, then don't do it yourself.
So,
right?
Lead by example. And
Exactly.
I think nowadays as well, it's I don't know, you said about going to work out in the park. Like, I don't think anyone bats an eyelid nowadays if, well, people are doing it here, in Dubai. I know it's warmer in Dubai and we don't get the cold weather that you do at home, but like, there's always someone somewhere, especially down at the beach or in the parks, doing press ups, or there's PTs outside. And I know when I go home, I have noticed that people they're not shy to be doing it outside. Like, I think when I was growing up, it would be like, oh my God, look at that man doing press ups. Like, it would be a bit. I think there's not that stigma around doing it out in public. So, go to do it out in public, step ups on the bench. Like, it's not.
Do you know what I do? So with a couple of my clients that I still see on Zoom from the UK, so I give them little challenges. And there's one girl who's really conscious to do anything like that outside. And my PT business used to be called Quit Your Comfort Zone. So it was always about trying to get you from A to B. What makes you uncomfortable? Let's get you there. And anything outside would make her feel really uncomfortable. So, we started with, okay, go to the park, go for a walk around the park, just find a bench, do 5 step ups. And she was like, oh, okay, I can do that. I did it. No one was looking. It was all right. It was fine. And got her to the point 3 months later where I said to her, I was like, I'm going to text you a challenge on one of these days, and you just need to do it wherever you are, whatever you're doing. You just need to do it. I texted her one day and just said, right, give me 10 burpees right here, right now. She worked in a hospital. She's a nurse. She was like, oh God. And she did it. And she said it was the best thing ever because everybody joined in.
Oh,
she had a great time. She said people started talking to me that I've never even spoke to at work before. She just really enjoyed it. And it really got her, like, talking to people that she wouldn't have spoken to before. Everyone was like, oh, well, what are you doing? She was like, oh, well, my PT just texted me a challenge. And they were like, oh, right, you're seeing a PT, and it really strikes up that conversation. And she really kind of grew and developed as a person because of it. And she thanks me for it. So, yeah.
And I feel like that's not just growth in working out, like that confidence to drop and do 10 burpees in the middle of a hospital, like the mental and emotional growth there is again, not to knock other PTs, but I didn't get that from the PT that I went to in the gym that was just like, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. I was more like, oh my God, I never felt like a small little weakly girl. Like, you might as well just put me in the corner and say, look at that weak girl. I love that story. It's a bit like a flash mob burpee. Burpee. Oh. Okay, so tell me, let's talk a little bit about nutrition. So I know that when I speak to people as well, there's when I'm coaching, there's so much information come in and all you have to do is go on Instagram and you have one person telling you to eat this, then you've got someone else saying, oh, you shouldn't be eating that, you need to be eating this. What's your sort of go-to? What's your thing that works the most for you and your clients?
So I have a sweet tooth myself. In fact, just yesterday on Instagram, I confessed to eating a whole packet of Tim Tams and having a coffee with breakfast. My little son has got measles at the moment, so I've taken a week off work and I'm in isolation with him, and it's just what I fancied. And I put on Instagram, this is a healthy breakfast. Everyone was like, what? I was like, well, hear me out. The minute you tell yourself you can't have something, you're going to want it even more. So if you want a whole packet of Tim Tams for breakfast, have the whole packet of Tim Tams for breakfast. But you need to educate yourself about food. So I was hungry by 10 o'clock, literally ravenous, because I'd had a whole packet of Tim Tams at 7 a.m. And that's because there was no substance to that. So there was no goodness, so no nutrients, no protein. I was hungry. So I knew that my next meal needed to be protein heavy. So I had some boiled eggs, some chicken, some spinach, sweet corn, and some toasted nuts. And then I was back on track for the rest of the day. But some people would have that packet of Tim Tams and they go, oh, well, you know, going to write it off now, it's cheat day, so I have pizza for lunch.
Yeah.
And it's like, there is absolutely nothing wrong with pizza. But the problem is, if I took all the toppings off of a pizza and put them on a plate and said, that's lunch, you'd be like, that's not going to fill me up. But just because it's served on this lovely carby base, it fills you up. So the problem is people aren't getting enough nutrients. And a lot of the time you can't lose weight if you're not getting enough nutrients. Yes, calorie deficit, there's so much to be said for a calorie deficit, but the majority of people I know don't even know how many calories there are in a banana. If you don't know how many calories there are in a banana, then, you know, it's counting your calories for you is going to be a bit pointless because you've got to start from scratch. So just educate yourself in terms of getting some good protein sources in, ideally in the first half of the day to keep you fuller for longer. And just try and keep a little bit of a track as to what you eat. Even if it's just photos, you don't have to log everything religiously in MyFitnessPal. You can do that. Is a great learning curve. I always suggest that clients do it for 3 days just to understand more about what they're putting in their bodies, but just understand what good protein sources are and at least have a couple of really good high protein meals throughout the week. But just to be honest, my biggest advice is just don't overcomplicate it. Just find out what you like, stick to a few meals, don't tell yourself you can't have something, and just have a healthy relationship with food.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I work on, so when I'm coaching, it's more intuitive eating. So intuitively, you know as well that you can't have chocolate biscuits every morning for breakfast because you know that it's unhealthy. If you do it one morning and you're allowing yourself that, you're probably not going to want the same the next day because you've already had it. Like I've also got a sweet tooth and I could eat cake at any time, at any point, but I know that it's not really that healthy for me, but I don't break down when I do have cake. Like I don't feel guilty. If I want cake, I'll eat cake because I know that the next day I haven't got that. I don't want it because I've already had it, and it's just using my intuition. And if I have a day where I eat loads of crap, you know, some days you think back and you think, oh my God, I haven't had anything green yet today. So then I'll be like, right, I'll make sure that my next meal has green, it's got vegetables, it's got things that I know are going to nourish me because I know that I whatever, I can't think of an example, but maybe I went out for pizza at lunch and I'm like, oh my God, I've only ate beige today, so I'll make sure that I eat my greens, you know, just eating, learning about those foods, like what is good for you. We all know what's bad because they're the foods that we try and not eat, but learn about what's good. Why is it good? And then you're going, I don't know, I feel more inclined then to eat it. Like I love spinach. When I'm eating it, I feel like I can taste it. Like, I don't know, like Popeye.
It's like the matcha, when you feel like you're just drinking grass sometimes. I love matcha, but some places just make it terribly.
Oh yeah, and I like matcha from a few, and when I have it in some places, I just feel like I'm drinking powder and hot water. So I only dare order it now from a few. But again, when you're drinking that, you don't, I don't know, you feel like, it makes you feel good. So then that's kind of what I get. Like, how does the food make you feel? When you've had a Big Mac, do you feel good? Do you want to go for a run? Like, do you feel like, all the salt and the cheese? And you might have had a nice time eating the Big Mac, that's okay. But then, next time you eat.
And just to touch on that as well, like it's about, so I know you talk about intuitive eating, but for me, I call it making conscious decisions. So I used to have a client who would always reach for a bag of crisps. All right, when they're hungry, the crisps are in the cupboard, they're ready to eat. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to take the crisps away. I never take anything away from people's diets. I always add stuff in until I do a little bit of mindset work and a bit of reverse psychology. So I add things in so they're really, really, really not hungry. So they automatically take the bad things out. So he always used to reach for the Walkers, like big pack of Walkers. He'd buy them every week at the supermarket. I was like, okay, that's fine. Keep buying them. Do what you got to do. But I want you to also buy a can of nuts and put them next to the crisps. So every time you reach for the crisp, you have to actively look at the nuts. And he's like, oh yeah. 50% of the time he would choose the nuts. He didn't fancy the nuts, but he'd choose them anyway because it was a conscious, healthier decision. 50% of the time he chose the crisp, and that's also fine. But at least 50% of the time he was making a better, healthier decision. And I'm pretty sure that's probably improved over time. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't even buy the crisps anymore.
Yeah, and even like eating 50% less crisps, like how amazing is that? You go from eating a bag a day to 3 bags a week instead. Like, exactly. All that took was putting nuts next to it, next to the crisps.
Such a small tip, but by seeing the two things next to each other, you have to make the conscious decision to eat unhealthy or eat healthy. And if you can just make that decision 50% of the right decision 50% of the time, then you're on your way to losing weight and a healthier lifestyle anyway.
Making sure that you have it there, because that's a thing so I always feel like I've always been quite healthy, but thinking back, especially before I moved to Dubai and I lived on my own, I had a lot of convenience food because it was easier. And similar things I just used to trick. So I'd buy the convenience food, but then also have like the fresh, and basically like just kind of, I don't know, guilting myself to like, right, no, I need to cook. I'm going to make these and have the vegetables and leave the other things in the freezer. That became then my emergency food, but it was the same kind of things. So I'd buy fresh and then still holding on to these my dad calls them ping tings, ping in the microwave. These pink meals, but knowing that I had all of this goodness in the fridge, I'm like, oh, come on, be an adult, like cook some proper food. So I was giving myself the option. So then I was choosing the better option, but it took a while. But and actually, as soon as I started weaning myself off these micro meals, and I know it's convenient, like I was just living in the house with a dog and a cat, and I had a pet rabbit. Like it was just me. So I was always like, oh, there's no point buying all this just for me. And I know that a lot of people who, again, might be listening to this and live alone, but I used to always have spots on my chin and my hormones are way out of balance. And just by switching from those convenience meals to fresh food, it didn't just, I wasn't trying to lose weight, it was general health as well. And I think people always think of healthy eating and nutrition as losing weight. Like I can remember I used to work on a call center and I'd be eating a salad, not because I was losing weight, because I wanted to eat the salad. And there was 2 women, I used to call them the dinner police, because they, whatever you had for your dinner, they would be nosing in, but they're like, oh, why are you eating a salad? You shouldn't be on a diet. I'm not on a diet. I'm just, and I think some people think eating healthy and dieting, it's, they're not, you don't have to be on a diet to eat healthy food. Like it should be the other way, So just seeing the nuts and the crisps together as well, sort of like puts that comparison on the shelf.
Yeah.
while we're on tips then, what 3 tips would you give to people listening today? Mums, not mums? What are your top 3 tips?
So I would say figure out what your naughty habit is. Whatever it is, whether it's you reach for the crisps or maybe you like a chocolate biscuit with your tea. So figure out exactly what it is and then just make that conscious, healthier swap. And there's always something that you can do. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be reaching for a salad leaf every time you reach for a chocolate biscuit. Make it a bit more fun, you know, try and do a high protein snack. Maybe it's a Baby Bell or something like that. But figure out what your unconscious unhealthy unconscious habit is and try and make a little bit of a healthy change to that. I would say download my Tabata playlist from my profile. I can send you the link if you want to put it in the show notes. But it really does take any thinking out of doing the exercise. So the timer is in the music. The music is only 4 minutes long. It's 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. I don't care what exercise you do. You can do squats, you can do star jumps, you can do planks, you can do whatever you want to do. Just make it fun. Get up, do it naked for all I care. Normally I get up and I do it in my pajamas. But I have been known to do a few naked burpees by the bedside. Just do whatever makes it easy for you. So you're taking down every single barrier to not doing that exercise. Also, if you do it in the morning, then you can't beat yourself up for not doing it in the day. The amount of women that I know who beat themselves up mentally and physically because they haven't exercised. And I'm like, well, if you just do your 4 minutes, you can't say to yourself you haven't exercised because you have. Okay, it's not your hour in the gym that you wanted, but you've still done something.
Yeah.
And then I would say, this is more for a mindset one, but I would say turn off all your notifications on email, WhatsApp. They just are an absolute time waster, and you feel like you have to get back to everybody on it all the time, especially in Dubai where work is done over WhatsApp. It's quite difficult to disconnect, but I turn all notifications off and I get back to people in my own time. You know, then you know when you're sitting down and you've got 5 minutes, you can get back to people, but don't be a burden to don't be on everyone else's time. Just try and stick to your own schedule a little bit, especially as a mum, because if you've got notifications pinging left, right and centre, you're just going to add added stress to your plate, and you've normally got 2 hands full with a baby or a toddler that you're trying to save from damaging himself or herself. So yeah, turn the notifications off, download some kind of playlist that's got the timer embedded in the music, and make that one healthy swap. Yeah,
good. I love all of those. The notification one, I can vouch for that as well. I don't have any on either. Sometimes I miss things, or because there's nothing on, like I just have to sorry, I did see this, but 20 years ago we used to have to write, maybe not 20 years ago, maybe 30 years, we'd have to write a letter. It wasn't instant, and I think we don't need instant responses. Not everybody does anyway. You can wait 5 minutes. But yeah, that changed I don't have anything on. I even log out of social media, so I do it, and data's off for me as well. So I have WhatsApp on. Everything else is Wi-Fi only. So when I'm out, I can't go on anything until I get back to the Wi-Fi. Again, it takes me a while to reply to people, but it's your mental health. We need to look after that. And I will I'll put everything in the show notes. So what's your Instagram? Just shout it out here, but I will put the link in the show notes.
At Lozgogs, Lozgoggs.
Perfect. And I'll put the link to your playlist. And if you've got a website, I'll also put that there as well. So thank you very much. Is there anything you want to leave the listeners with today? Anything else?
No, just let us know if you found it useful. And yeah, I hope you did. And I hope you can put some practical tips into your life and be a happier, healthier version of yourself, because everything else like comes with it. So positivity, confidence, energy. The minute you just start moving and putting more movement into your day, then you really do just become a healthier, fitter person because of it.
Yeah, and I think you do online as well, because I think some people listening to this, if they're in the UK, they can still work with you online as well. So yeah, get onto Instagram, message Lauren, and just
send me a DM, and I'm very happy to help people uncover some unhealthy habits. Because if you're like, well, I don't have any, I eat really healthy and I'm still putting on weight. Let's talk through your diet and see what unhealthy habits you do have. The amount of people that come to me and say, I eat healthy, but I'm putting on weight and I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, your version of healthy, my version of healthy is two very different things. Yeah. So drop me a DM. I'm very happy to have a call and a chat, and even do some online exercise and see how we can fit more movement into your day.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you everybody for listening. And I will see you all next week.
Thank you so much. Bye.
And that's it today, everybody. I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you again next week. Don't forget, 5 stars, download, tell your friends. You're amazing.